there needs to be capacity left for crazy ideas. And so if you give people the opportunity to say, listen, like you're allowed to, spend 10% on some wild idea, and you as a seller, you're allowed to petition for one crazy thing once a year, but you have to get the rest of the sellers on board.
Welcome back to Manage Chaos Podcast. We are wrapping up our fantastic 4-part arc on customer intelligence with Glenn Perera, our guest in residence from Perera Insights. We have covered voice of the customer, structured customer advisory boards, and operational account planning, including QBRs and joint business planning. But today we are tackling the biggest leadership challenge that all of those processes create, which is noise. As you grow, everyone, from your biggest client to your loudest competitor to your internal team, has an opinion. How do you, as the founder, filter out all that noise, stay true to your original vision, and prevent scope creep from turning your roadmap into complete chaos? Glenn, welcome back for this final, very crucial conversation to wrap up our overall customer insights block on Managed Chaos. Let's start with the heart of the matter.
Sure.
How's a leader stay true to their core vision? We've talked about mission and vision quite a bit. How do you stay true to that core vision when powerful clients are demanding changes?
Well, mission, vision, and values and product vision is always, or having that product roadmap vision is always going to be crucial. That's always going to be there. But I think when you're at the stage where you're receiving all this noise, are you able to cleanly and quickly qualify, quantify, and validate?
Mm-hmm.
And then can you get to the stage where if you have multiple requests for the same thing from some of your biggest customers, and you can that'll start changing your overall company mission vision. Can you use all that noise systematically, right? And logically? Yeah. That's number one. That said, and I'm going to sit on the fence here a little bit, there's often a case at the stage of a company that you have to do what doesn't scale. It's as simple as that. And some of my clients today, like I look at some of the requests that they greenlight, and it's something entirely customized, entirely one-off, and will never be able to be used ever again. And I asked them, what, besides money, what made you do this? And a lot of the time it's money, but it's also, you could be at the stage where you do it once or twice, something which doesn't get to port over to another client ever again. But you learn what you're not going to do, or you learn what that second evolution will be of that product. Mm-hmm. So I think, it's, can you have your rules set in place where like, here's what we're doing on why, mission, vision, value, yada, yada, all the stuff that was mentioned in the past episodes. But can you use it as a measuring stick as to, should we move this forward, or should we put this into an MVP, or should we greenlight and turn it into a feature that goes into production ASAP? And do we tear up our existing roadmap? But use those measures, use the frequency, use the strategic importance, the potential upside, to be able to measure and value whether this is something to tear up your existing roadmap on.
I love that line though, tear up the roadmap, as though anybody has a physical roadmap that they can tear up these days. Like, it's just not as fun to sort of archive the Miro board or archive because of course you would never delete it.
I mean, and also, yeah, exactly. And all the times where you look at a roadmap in February, and you look at it in June, you're like, what? How's this all changed?
Yes, exactly. When you go back to look at it. So I think one of the important things as you start to get all this noise in as a founder is that you have a strong partner in someone on your team that can help you funnel through that noise, because sometimes it's hard as the founder who might have been the person who really created and ideated that first iteration of your product, right? And someone is telling you, not only is your baby ugly, but I hate it. Yeah. And it's good to have a thought partner either on your team, potentially on your advisory board, in some role that is able to help you talk it out.
Yeah.
Talk out the noise.
Completely.
I think if founders don't have someone on their team that they feel they can be vulnerable with and kind of be open about that with, they're not as successful.
Yeah, I feel really strongly about that as well. And whether you're getting that in-house or whether you're getting that through, a trusted partner, or whether you're getting it through someone who's in, a confidant or whoever. But, having a culture of times where you can ideate and you can call someone's baby ugly. But it's like that mentality of like, of improv classes. You got to be a yes and. So like, like I'll call your baby ugly, but I'll tell you why and how I think we can make that baby look less ugly. God, it's such a mean analogy, isn't it?
It is a really mean analogy. We've already used it multiple times, but I'm now considering that for the social clips, we need a better analogy. Or is the social clip, your baby is ugly? But other than having a person, what other operational processes can a founder put in place that helps them filter the noise so that when they decide to act or they decide to ignore, it's truly based on data, not just their emotion. So obviously having a second person, but what else can they do?
I love seeing when companies are really good with having on paper, mission, vision, values, initiatives, roadmap vision, roadmap initiatives. And then whenever any voice of customer or customer feedback comes in, you run that request or that bit of feedback through that list and use it as a scoring system. It's like, well, this doesn't lead to revenue increase. It doesn't prevent churn. This is a nice to have versus a must have. And using that as guardrails as to deciding, because you can really be objective. And when you're asking a customer, like they have their way of inputting or providing feedback. Keep it simple, but keep it conversational. Like, what are you asking for? Why is it important? How's it going to change your day to day? Is this mission critical, or is this like something that'll be kind of cool? And then from there, you already have a qualitative gauge as to what's going to be, and then you can then start marrying up. Great, they said they're going to increase usage by 35%. Or something like, well, if you do this in this market, we'll open up, 5 more regions. Then you can start quantifying as when you're thinking about total addressable market and revenue opportunity. But really, I think you got to mix the story with the numbers and run it through your own list, the checklist. Is this going to be a needle mover, and what type of needle mover? And if this is just this is a really cool idea. Great, this is a cool idea. Maybe we'll do a hackathon and we'll put together an MVP. But
I love oh my god, a hackathon. We don't do good hackathons anymore.
I miss those because they really are a wonderful way to road test ideas. But then when you see like a request that comes in and an engineer goes, oh, I saw this like floating around in a document somewhere. I just I put it together a little MVP. And you're like, which product manager? I dealt with Jason over there. He helped me and I just put it together. And I think it's cool. It's like, this is exactly what you want to do. Like have that mindset of wanting to ideate and co-create and think of something, but also at the same time, if you think it's too big of a thing to try and tackle because it's just not important right now, you have this, listen, just FYI, like, thank you client for this request based on the fact that you don't think it's going to bring revenue, based on the fact you think it's a nice to have. And this is more of an idea. It's like, would you mind if you put this to a hackathon thing? And do you want to get involved? Do you want to come to the hackathon?
I know. Yeah, I get to create some excitement around it, right? So I think my favorite part of this conversation, and maybe it's not favorite, maybe it's the part that I actually just see blow up the most often, but beyond customers, I see founders have trouble managing the internal noise. So if you're only serving one master, right, being your customer, it's somewhat easier. But when you start to think about your team's passion for new ideas, and then you start to think about your sales team who's only thinking about the revenue goal that they need to hit and they don't want to lose a deal. So if a customer's telling them they want insert random thing here, how do you help your team maintain focus on the core mission and maintain focus on delivering the best experience without sort of infighting? Because I've seen so many sales teams be like, I sold this deal and we're so excited that we got this client. And then, you realize, what did you sell?
Yeah. It's all too common, right? You see that so often where something's sold and then they force the product team, engineering team to flex and pivot when they totally derails. And so I to say that I've got the cleanest answer is a lie, but I would definitely go as far as saying that you need to be able to elicit and gain roadmap buy-in from the rest of the company, and that requires over communicating. That could require loads of empathy. It could require being very draconian. There's you need to understand who you're dealing with and what type of person you are as a leader and a leadership team. That said, I also do believe that there needs to be capacity left for crazy ideas. And so if you give people the opportunity to say, listen, like you're allowed to, spend 10% on some wild idea, and you as a seller, you're allowed to petition for one crazy thing once a year, but you have to get the rest of the sellers on board. Like
One
it doesn't
crazy
go through.
thing once a year. I love that.
Yeah, just so you give them some room to play with, but you give them the constraints. But it speaks to that hackathon mindset, but also contributing. But gives them the opportunity to be wild and be audacious, but within the confines, and also be able to set them up with a product manager and an engineering team who can help them guide and say, but this is how you write a problem statement, benefit hypothesis, minimum viable requirements. What does an MVP look like? And so I think that's and there's a lot of sellers I've worked with. They've loved being in that process as well, and they go from going, hey, for example, we're an airline, and now we want to get into boats. It's like, take it easy. We don't have any boats. And they might go, actually, today we are software X and we do this, but there could be this little lane switch over here that could be interesting. And we believe the total addressable market is 3% of what we're getting from so-and-so customer right now. It's like, cool.
Right.
Thank you for the facts. And so I think giving people like a sandbox environment to play in, I think that's needed. And I think, let these crazy ideas come out, but then temper it with, this is where we're going. Thank you so much. And, here's what we can commit resource to. So
Well, and I love the
balancing act.
idea of the sandbox because a sandbox has boundaries, right? It's not the beach. It's not, endless and ever going. So you're able to set the boundaries with the teams, which allows them the ability to sort of think and be able to get creative without feeling so regulated. And I think that's the biggest thing that people love to go work at startups for, is because they don't have all the red tape and all the, structure.
Sure.
I don't want to say the word structure just because I do think startups should have structure, and I do think you can have structure without minimizing creativity, but I'm struggling to come up with what the right word is. But I think that's why people go to work at startups, right? They want to be able to ideate. They want to be able to throw wild ideas out there. And so I think your point of saying, yes, allow them, but it's like one wild idea per quarter or one wild idea per year, and you have to get X number of people on board. It's such a great way to sort of say yes and.
Yeah, but it's perfect. I mean, it's the idea of like you're giving someone, I love a glass of wine, but I can't have a glass of wine every day. I need rules, man. I need structure. But let me put some structure around some play. Like I want a glass of wine and maybe 2 or 3 times a week. So that's the kind of the mentality. And I think like you said, like there is this idea of structured play. That's like, cool. So here's 10% of your time. Do whatever the hell you want with it. Within
Right.
legal limits,
Within
obviously, but
reason.
like
Yeah.
but like it's like I think a lot of these big companies will offer up you're allowed to spend 20% of your capacity on whatever you want. I think Google do that, Meta do that as well. So I think that's the kind of the mentality, but that also does take
Discipline.
discipline, man.
Yeah.
And also like letting the team know it's like this is our mission and vision. Me as a leader of the company, and here's our C-suite. This is where we're going. Are you in or you're not? Cool, you're in.
Right.
Let's go. And then if you're a salesperson and you want people to buy into your idea, guess what? You have to get all your peers on board. You're a seller.
Which,
Sell
to be
it.
fair, is a really great way to also cross-functionally train your team and get your team to all sort of understand and have empathy for each other's plights, right? So
Yeah.
as the engineer, why am I concerned about the idea sales is bringing? Let me try to use their own language to explain it to them, because I think a lot of times cross-functional teams have a lot of trouble communicating because they speak about things in a different way. Sometimes
Completely.
they're actually much closer together than they realize, but they just aren't using the same language.
Completely.
Well, Glenn, this has been such a fun 4-part series diving into customer intelligence. I am so very thankful for you joining us on the podcast. We have had it in the show notes for each show, but how can folks find you if they want to find you?
LinkedIn. That's my lighthouse. Yeah, just linkedin.com/Glenn Perera. That's just me. Just come find me. Glenn with 2 N's. Second N is silent. But yeah, but yeah, LinkedIn's my hub. That's where I write and that's where I I put stuff out. So
yes, and Glenn always has really great insights on his LinkedIn posts, as well as really fun photos that he gets done at a place in London. And maybe if you need photos done and you're in London, you should message Glenn and find out where he did them.
You got to hook him in, huh?
Exactly. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of ManageCast Podcast. We have enjoyed having you. We hope you have learned more than you needed to know about customer insights. We will see you on the next episode of ManageCast Podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast.
Outsourcing your US tech talent shouldn't be hard. With Pobble.io, we deliver high-quality teams on demand and provide huge cost savings to your business. Try it now at Pobble.io. Mention the amazing guys at Manage Chaos when you email us and get a free market data report. Email contact@Pobble.io.